I opened it up and I noticed it was Angelina Jolie.
The book, entitled Scrunched Photos of Celebrities, is Reiner's latest project.
I found a celebrity, scrunched them, showed them, and there it was.
When Reiner wasn't winning handily at his celebrity scrunching photo game, he took a moment to talk about a recent award honoring one of his classic works.
Well, you know, I was surprised they want to digitize my scripts on the Dick Van Dyke Show. I don't know why.
The Dick Van Dyke Show.
Carl Reiner considers his creation of The Dick Van Dyke Show his greatest entertainment success.
And I even have a book to prove it.
In 1977, Reiner directed George Burns in the comedy classic, Oh God.
You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
So help me, mate. So help you.
Your mind never stops working, does it?
No, but here's the interesting thing.
Hollywood's legendary Carl Reiner. He's 97 and still making us laugh out loud. That's today on 50 Plus Prime. Thank you for joining us. I'm Tony Fama. Carl Reiner was about 18 when he began entertaining us. That was almost 80 years ago. I've met with Reiner at his home in Beverly Hills 3 times during the last few years, shortly after both his 94th and 95th birthdays, and most recently after his 97th birthday. He's still a king of comedy and at the very top of his game. Now, I hear there's a story behind this scrunch.
Well, I looked in the wastebasket basket next to my bed, and there was this scrunched photo like this. One of my show here. And I had obviously scrunched it up. I said, who is that? And then I opened it up and I noticed it was Angelina Jolie. And thereupon, as I said, a book was born.
The book, entitled Scrunched Photos of Celebrities, is Reiner's latest project. He calls it a game book.
I found a celebrity, scrunched them, showed them, and there it was. He showed you that already.
Yes, it's a game he played with me, and it's a game that I lost.
Here's a good one.
Mary Tyler Moore. Julia Roberts. I'm bad.
Well, this one.
Red Fox. It's got to be Red Fox.
No.
No?
Yeah, I think you should get it from this one.
Morgan Freeman.
Yeah.
Wow.
This is a good one.
I'm going to stop guessing.
Who is this?
Oprah? Ah, I got it.
You did get it. Anyway.
That's fantastic.
So it's a lot of pages, and you can put it on the table and. Oh, there's a goodie right here.
Meryl Streep? Oh, I got it right, Carl.
You got that one right. Who's that?
You're as surprised as I am. Jack Nicholson. Oh my God, it's Grace Kelly. When Reiner wasn't winning handily at his celebrity scrunching photo game, he took a moment to talk about a recent award honoring one of his classic works.
Well, you know, I was surprised they want to digitize my scripts on the Dick Van Dyke Show. I don't know why, but I've always said, of all the things I've ever done, when asked, I said the thing that most informs who I am is the Dick Van Dyke Show.
On his 97th birthday, it was announced that more than 7,500 pages of Reiner's scripts from all 158 episodes of The Dick Van Dyke Show would be digitally preserved by the National Comedy Center in Jamestown, New York.
And I remember saying to other writers who came in, no slang. We don't know slang of the day. Because I have a feeling this is going to last forever, because we're going to talk about one thing, that is who you are. If you talk honestly who you are, who your relation, and it's about a relationship of a husband and wife. I said the old situation comedies like Lucy Goodwin's were two against each other. This is two against the world.
The Dick Van Dyke Show.
Carl Reiner considers his creation of The Dick Van Dyke Show his greatest entertainment success. The comedy classic he also wrote and produced won 15 Emmy Awards in its 6-year run from 1961 through 1966.
Boy, am I glad this week is over.
Reiner took home 3 of those Emmys for outstanding writing achievement.
And I even have a book to prove it.
In the book, entitled Why and When the Dick Van Dyke Show Was Born, Reiner shares some of his family's real-life stories, which inspired many of the episodes.
It is one of my favorite things because in it, there are so many realies that actually happened to me. I just happened to pick out one. Here was it. Oh yeah, never name a duck. When Easter came and I passed the pet shop, I saw two little ducks, and I had to buy them, and I took them home. Oh, look at that. This is called fated, synchronistic fating. I bought these 2 ducks, and we brought them home, and my wife cuddled them just like that, and we had them swimming in the swimming pool until we had them in the bathtub, in the sink, and they got bigger and bigger. We had to have them swimming in the pool, and there's Mel Brooks watching my daughter swim with the ducks. We said, they belong with other ducks, and we took them to MacArthur Park and placed them in here, wallowed in with the other ducks. We watched that for about a half hour. That's the duck, but based on I wrote a story for the Van Dyke Show. Same thing, and there it is.
Baby ducks.
Oh, aren't they cute? Oh, they're the ones we used in the farm number last week.
Well, what are we going to do with live baby ducks?
Carl Reiner's path to creating the Dick Van Dyke Show began about 10 years earlier, when he starred in Your Show of Shows, a live comedy program also featuring Sid Caesar, Imogen Coca, and Howard Morris. In this classic skit, the 4 leads play mechanical figures in a German clock. Reiner's character swings a hammer, striking Caesar's hammer. That triggers Morris to pump the billows and Coca to cool things off with water. That is until the process springs a leak. Your Show of Shows was on the air from 1950 to 1954. Reiner, who received an Emmy nomination for his work, began receiving offers for starring roles in situation comedies.
And none of them were any good. And my wife said to me, "Why don't you write one?" I said, I don't know. She says, on Fire Island that day, I said, write one for myself. I wrote a thing called Head of the Family. 13 episodes I had all ready to go. Came in, and maybe Peter Lawford put up the money. We did the pilot with Barbara Britton and Morty Gunty and Sylvia Miles. Fair pilot. It wasn't very good. I was fair. I put it aside, and I started writing movies. I started writing the thrill of it all. And Sheldon Leonard, we had the same agent, saw these scripts. He called me and he says, "These are wonderful scripts." I said, "Sheldon, not another word. I don't want to fail twice with the same material." These are his words and a good impression. "You won't fail or get a better actor to play you." And he suggested Dick Van Dyke. I went to New York and saw him with Cheetah Rivera. And the rest is history. Then we found Mary Tyler Moore, which was just a gift.
Mary Tyler Moore shares this scene with toupee-wearing producer Alan Brady, played by Reiner.
Fellas. There she is. There's the little lady who put you out of business.
Coming up, Carl Reiner has worked with the biggest Hollywood names, always guaranteeing that we leave laughing. When you think about some of the funniest movies and television performances, you know, the classic moments in comedy of the baby boomer era, chances are Carl Reiner was involved along with some of his friends like George Burns, Steve Martin, Lily Tomlin, even Mel Brooks. An A-list of some of the funniest entertainers in Hollywood history.
Well, on set, working with him was like, after we did a take, I'd say, "Okay, what else you got?" Because I know there's always something bubbling in his head.
Carl Reiner directed Steve Martin in 4 films: Dead Men Don't Wear Plaid, The Man with Two Brains, All of Me, also starring Lily Tomlin, and The Jerk.
One day we used to ride to work together, and I said, he comes up with a joke. I said, "Oh my God, we got to put that in." It's his first day going away. He's born a black child. He's going away from his black father, and his father doesn't know whether he's ready to go out into the world. And he says, he teaches him, you see what that is on the ground?
You see that? Yeah. That's and this is shinola.
Shinola.
Son, you're gonna be all right.
You know, from shinola. I mean, that was one of Steve's. Nobody thinks like that. Nobody.
In 1977, Reiner directed George Burns in the comedy classic, Oh God.
George was a delight. I mean, absolute delight. When I cast him, I said, nobody could be better than George Burns. When they said, how about you? He had a show called the Burns and Allen Show where he stood outside his house and prophesied what was going to happen. I said, that's it. And he came and he was wonderful.
You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
So help me, me.
So help you.
If it pleases the court, and even if it doesn't please the court, I'm God, Your Honor.
Is he laughing?
Yeah, we're all laughing. Carl Reiner's best friend is Mel Brooks. The men eat dinner together just about every night at Reiner's home. They share a 1999 Grammy Award for their recording of The 2,000-Year-Old Man in the year 2000, a version of which was first performed in the 1950s. Here's a clip of the routine from the Colgate Comedy Hour in 1967, with a lesson about the history of hand clapping.
Actual reaction.
People actually hit themselves in
Oh,
the face.
boy! Wow!
That hurts, though.
Yeah, you bet it hurts now.
But people applaud.
Right, and listen, it was a dangerous thing. We could not continue to react to wonderments like that, because when we had a big star, you know, like Sammy Davis Sr. would come and play the cage.
Way back there, yes.
You know, not Junior, the old one.
Yes.
We would hurt ourselves when he was terrific. So Murray, the wise one.
Yes.
Murray, oh, was he
What
smart?
did he do?
Murray was smart. Murray said, folks, pull your faces out of the applause. Pull your faces out.
How
And
did
we
he
said,
do
what
that?
do you
Could
mean?
you
He
give us
went,
an example?
terrific, and terrific. And he face out of the applause, see?
That's fascinating.
That's how Murray did
Well,
it.
thank you very much, sir.
Carl Reiner has won 12 Emmy Awards for television excellence, and he's been inducted into the Television Hall of Fame. His son, Hollywood director and actor Rob Reiner, presented him with the award. In a ceremony at the John F. Kennedy Center for the Performing Arts in the year 2000, Reiner was honored with the Mark Twain Prize for American Humor, and you'll find his star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. But Reiner, born to humble beginnings in the Bronx, New York in March 1922, to Irving and Bessie Reiner, who grew up with his brother Charles, said his greatest memories and successes are rooted in his family.
My mother saw me in my first play when I was 6 years old. She sat next to Mr. Scarpa, the principal, and the principal said, that boy was the best one, pointing to me. And my mother came backstage and said, Mr. Scarpa said you were the best one, and for the rest of my life, anything I did, you were the best one. When I did into laughing, you know, and once when I did the show of shows, she said you were the best one, but they don't give you enough to do. That was her only complaint.
Irving Reiner was an inventor. He taught himself to play the violin, and he was the family photographer.
He got pictures of everybody. Way back, he had a daguerreotype. I still have his plates from his family, and he never had a picture of himself because he was always. So what did he do? He sat one day and thought, like he always said, think about it. And here's something he was going to have patented in 1906, and it's a self-timer. It's still ticking. You can hear it. It's still ticking. You connect it to the tripod, to the camera, and you get in place, and it clicks. And that's a picture he took of himself playing the violin. Most important thing you do in your life is the children you send out into the world. Non-toxic children, children that will do good for the world, good for their families. And that's I'm most proud of. And I tip my hat to my wife, who is really, I've said this many times, she raised 3 great kids and 1 great husband. She did.
Estelle and Carl Reiner were married for 65 years until Estelle's passing in 2008. Estelle delivered one of the most memorable lines in Hollywood history in 1989's When Harry Met Sally, directed by her son Rob.
Yes! 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 Oh! 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 Oh, God. Oh.
I'll have what she's having.
Estelle was an artist. Her artwork is on display throughout Reiner's home, and she was an accomplished jazz singer.
The more I see you, the more I want you. Somehow this feeling just grows and grows.
The couple had 3 children, Robbie, Annie, and Lucas. Annie has her mother's gift of song.
When she sings like her mother. Her mother had a beautiful jazz voice, and she sings exactly like her with intonations. And I always introduce her, inarguably the world's greatest singing psychoanalyst.
The very thought of you, and I forget to do the little ordinary things that everyone ought to do.
And then Lucas, my youngest, who was 12 years younger, he's a world-renowned artist. When his mother was painting, she put up a little easel when he was 6 years old next to hers, and he painted it. Now he's getting commissions all over the world. He's in Berlin now doing big commissions, and he has 15 paintings of the Stations of the Cross done in trees. My kids, I'm so proud of them. I mean, from Robbie, when he was 5 or 6 years old, he had a photographic memory. He used to sit on the stairs when Mel and I used to ad-lib the 2,000-year-old man. He'd remember it. When he was 15, he gave us a couple jokes for it. He actually threw in the inventor of applause, where they used to do this, and then they hurt themselves, so they took their faces out.
You'll remember this line from earlier in the broadcast. It was written by a young Rob Reiner.
Folks, pull your faces out of the applause. Pull your faces out.
How did he do that? Could you give us an example?
Terrific, and terrific.
When we come back, how Carl Reiner's World War II service actually led him to a legendary Hollywood career. I had this history professor in college, and he said that the 2 most significant words in history are what if. So, for example, as legend has it, what if New York Yankees first baseman Wally Pipp wasn't held out of the lineup with a headache in June of 1925, opening the door for a man named Lou Gehrig to fill in? Pipp never got his job back. When you hear about Carl Reiner's World War II service, that pesky what if may have been at work again. Carl Reiner was a teletype operator in World War II. But just one day before his unit was to be shipped from Hawaii to Iwo Jima, he had an experience that placed him on the road to Hollywood fame.
I see a G.I. Hamlet being played at Farrington Hall in the University of Hawaii with Maurice Evans, and I went to see it, and there backstage, there I see Laird. He's being played by my friend Howie Morris. My friend said, audition, find out if you're any good for professionals. I auditioned, and he said, we'd like to have you, and I said, I can't, I'm going away tomorrow. He called General Richardson of the Pacific Base Command, and he had me transferred like a ball player.
For the next 18 months, Reiner toured with the group, entertaining the troops. In 1946, with his honorable discharge from the service, he won the leading role in the musical revue Call Me Mister, also starring Buddy Hackett. Reiner was on his way from Broadway to your show of shows and to a Hollywood career of legend.
So are you sure you're ready to do this?
If you ever ask me that question again, Daniel, you will not wake up the following morning.
What a body of work. From Reiner's early 2000s portrayal of Saul Bloom, the old con artist in the Ocean's Heist trilogy with George Clooney, to his Smith Corona typewriter, on which he wrote The Dick Van Dyke Show, and now on display at the Library of Congress. Carl Reiner has traveled a long way from his childhood in the Bronx in his more than 90 years. But as he savors his large extended family, including 5 grandchildren, don't think for a minute that this great master of comedy is finished working. So there is always something going on in this room.
Yes, or And if there isn't, I wouldn't be here.
Well, we want then consistent action in this room. Where do you come up with these ideas?
Mainly when I wake up in the morning or when I go to sleep at night.
Here's a peek at Carl Reiner's latest idea in action. Your mind never stops working, does it?
No, but here's the interesting thing. Then we got the idea for scrunch photos of the world's greatest works of art, hand scrunched by Carl Reiner.
So that's your next project?
Here it is. Oh, here, no, oh, who's that?
That's got to be Mona Lisa.
Yes, go ahead. There it is.
I got one right. I should stop.
Yeah, you're right.
Next week, we'll visit with Carl Reiner and his son, Hollywood actor and director Rob Reiner. That's our program for today. This is 50 Plus Prime. I'm Tony Fama. Thank you for joining us. Where do you come up with these ideas?
I don't know. You wake up with them. That's why you get up. Yeah. These are taken care of. Yeah, and I also am doing I'm planning a book on the 156 Van Dyke shows. I don't know if I'll do them all, but the one page will have the premise of the show, either in dialogue that somebody says. The other page will be a picture of the person who's saying it while a clip from one of the shows. That should be an interesting looking book.
Sure.
Yeah.